Sorry about that. Thought I had it. I thought I was all set. I was all excited. All right. ES. Let's just get into this and we'll start over. So obviously what we saw here was a classic example of, hey, maybe there's an issue, maybe there's not. Canada's going to do something. And then within, I guess, about an hour, they changed their mind. And 2 hours, they changed their mind conveniently. And so now we have this. I don't think there's really much to say there about it. And let's see how it plays out. But these would be your core levels that I would watch. You could also argue like the break here from Friday to Sunday night, that lift. And just from there, the push up. You could argue that you'd want to watch that as well. All you did was lift and then just kind of take out the highs and then bump against those levels. What happens this morning happens, and I wouldn't put more into it than that. What I would do with it mostly is just watch how we act. I don't know that you're just going to constantly go up. I think you're going to have some real weird news over the past couple of days. I don't know how else to say it, but I think you're going to get some really wonky news with this bill. Not everybody is on board with this thing, and I think that's really going to come through, and I think it's going to be an issue. I think it's going to be a much bigger issue than they think it is. So that's really where my head is with it. And that's really what I would suggest that people focus on. I don't know that you want to go goofy today. I think really what you're trying to do here today is stay out of the way of, harm's way, let this stuff settle in and go from there. I don't know why you would have to, rush into things, quite frankly. I don't think there's any reason to do that. There's some names that look better than others, but if you just want to look at the indexes for a second and what you're dealing with, and here, let me just do it this way. So it's realistic to assume that you're going to come back down to the 616. I don't know why anyone would think that you wouldn't. If you went and looked at the highs, there's your high right there. Do you get over it? Do you not? It depends. Goldman took down their GDP numbers. Nobody really seems to give a crap, for lack of a better term, which is really kind of mind-boggling to me. But usually when Goldman does stuff like that, people do tend to listen, and you do see some weakness, and we're just not seeing that today. I should say we're not seeing that yet anyway. I am very surprised that regional banks are not up more. I'm also surprised that some of these bigger banks are not up more with the capital constraints. These would be my really big levels that I would be watching. I could argue that, you want to watch this level as well. I don't know that that's it. I think it's really there where you've gapped up and then you've attacked, couldn't get over Matumbo for like ever, and then broke down, right? I think they would be the key levels, but it's really hard to imagine a world where this doesn't, gap fill at some point today. And that's like 1%. So do it that way you want, but that's really where my head is. I don't know what the impetus is going to be to get you to invest in a short week. And it could just be that they're chasing end of the quarter too, right? But I don't know really what's going to get you to invest in a short week. I'm just not sure about that. Like what gets people to like really jump the gun here on that short week ahead of non-farm payrolls and 3 trading days after today. I just don't know what that is that's going to get that motivation. And I think a lot of people are looking at the week that way, like, okay, well, what's my Harry? Like, do I have a Harry here? Is there something I need to really be, focused on here? And I'm not so sure that there is. So we'll have to take a look at that and go from there. There is a bunch of news I can go over, which I think is interesting, like Core's possibly getting bought by CoreWeave, the $80 target price on Circle by Goldman. They really don't believe the hype, that's for sure. I'm wondering why they did that. I think they did that for a reason because of the IPO and like trying to justify why they didn't, why it wasn't priced higher. That's the only thing I can think of. But you look at the Qs, I think these are your really big levels. And I really think that you have to look at this and go, can you gap fill today? And the answer is yeah. And that's about 60, 70 basis points, probably 70 basis points, isn't it? Something like that. What is it? 60 basis points? I was off. So I do think that you can. I don't know, what's the impetus? It's a technical impetus, right? So I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know that it's something that you really need to like focus on. I also think you need to be careful, like how much more do you see end of today with the positioning going into the end of the quarter? Do you see more positioning like you did on Friday, or is that it? The majority of index rebalancing was Friday. I mean, that was pretty brutal for a lot of these names. So I do think that, yeah, you might see something like that happen again, but we'll have to see how that plays out. You never know. You just don't know how that's going to go. But they're your real big levels here. I don't think you're coming back down to here again because that news is no longer there. Could you get back to Sunday's level right in here? 100% you could. So again, that's how I really see it. I don't know, maybe you're going to push, maybe you're not. But I don't know that you really have to, go out there and do a whole heck of a lot. You're not really getting anywhere. I'll leave it at that. You're just not. You're not really in that impetus. But I do want to take a bunch of questions today because I'm sure there's a ton of them, and I didn't get to them on Friday. So let's go through the list and see where we're at. Good morning from Tokyo, MLB Live, Mobley. Yep. I think a lot of these names, I think you're going to run into a problem here where the broadening of the market is going to be so great that people don't know which names that they're going to get involved in. Like, to me, something like that, it's not really something that I would need to focus on. It's not, I should say it differently. It's not something that I would personally focus on. When I look at something like that, I would need to really break out of that base. I'd need to get above that control bar. It'd need to be huge volume, or I don't have any real interest in that at all, like none. So it's not something that I would play with, but you do what you're comfortable with. I see the buying coming in. If I put the moving averages in, I get it, but 15 is very different than 18. And so if I got back down to here on some news, yeah, I might look at it, but not now. Not now. That's not that as appealing. Yeah, I think that people have to really look at that. I think when people go back, like one of the things that I would point out, and I'll get into it a little bit tonight because I think it's really interesting, but I don't think people are really getting the news. Like, I don't think people are truly getting like how crazy this pullback. But I was showing this the other day, just so you can see it, John, where let's say I go to a plane chart and I clean all this off and I showed somebody, this and said, hey, this market's going higher. Like, it's exactly what happened here. It's exactly what happened here. Like, exactly what happened on the Qs here, like to the T. So, if you were looking at this, like down, up, down goes, and then you come here and then you're like, okay, well, what happened there? Oh, I don't know. It ripped everyone's head off. All right. Like, people don't understand that when you break out of these highs, you go. You don't like stop and then you like, okay, well, here's the top, and then you ripped for 2 years. Okay, well, you retested that low and then you're going to go again. Like, it's not freaking rocket science what happens here. So from my standpoint, yeah, I look at this and say, yeah, you're probably going to push here. And based upon that, I that's where my head is with it. I'm a little concerned by the continuing claims, and I don't think anybody else really is. And then the personal income wasn't great, and the personal spending wasn't great. And Goldman took down their GDP earnings estimates. It's very different, technically speaking, from this. And it's very different, not technically speaking, from a macro backdrop from this. It looks like a blip right now, right? In the grand scheme of things, doesn't it? But I really think you have to look at this and go, all right, well, where does that put us? I think it's pretty interesting, quite frankly, but it's definitely different times because you don't have that injection of capital. But are we going to see like GDP rip here and that we just don't understand it yet? That's what I'm wondering, the way the bond market's dropping too. But we'll see, John. We'll see. And the video looks fantastic. I mean, there's very little to say. You've been basing for 9 months here, and now you're breaking out. So there's very, very little to say, about it. Like, I don't know what I would like. It's going higher. Like, there's really very little for me to say about it. Like, unless the market's coming in, the video is not going anywhere but up. Yeah, Boeing's definitely got an interest. And then the other thing that you're seeing there is this. So like, what's up, Kev? So if you look at something here like Boeing, yeah, you definitely are holding. I have headline risk that always scares me with this name, but and for obvious reasons, but you're definitely holding. XLI looks fantastic. XLI is clearly breaking out. When you go and take a look at it, you're at all-time highs on XLI. So they're looking for what name's the cheapest. It's going to be Boeing. They're going to buy Boeing. I mean, that's what they're doing. And, maybe they keep these contracts. Maybe it's not an issue with them. I don't have an answer to this, like the drop and what happened in India. I don't, but it's definitely something that's on my radar that I would be paying attention to. I do think if you get above this, you do see panic, which is where your level is. So I do agree with you. What's up, Jay? Yeah, I think that, this kind of stuff is definitely stuff you want to watch. Where you start looking at stuff like Sophie and you start seeing that kind of push. I had a level in here that I bought and it flipped and I did really well like that day or two with it. And then you did the undercut and then you flipped over here with that big bar. It's there. You own a regional bank. You own a really good regional bank, but you own a regional bank. And they're very easy to open up an account there. Very, very simple to do. I think it looks great. And I think it's something that could really lift. So, let's see where it goes from there. But I don't think that there's a whole heck of a lot that you need to do there. I just don't feel that way. So from my standpoint, how I feel about it, at this point you have to push. And I think a lot of these names actually look fairly decent, like they're going to lift. Like Hood looks like it's going to lift. And, some of these names look like they're going to go. But, the big ones really are just ripping. Like they're just absolutely exploding. So I don't know that that's going to stop. I'm really surprised that you're not getting that lift on JP Morgan, like at all, like not even a little bit. So I would just, I'm really surprised by that. I'll leave it at that. The HWM looks fantastic. And it seems to be like the big dog in the aerospace as far as like people looking for like that large cap name that makes sense. You can see the breakout there from earnings. And then after that, you just made the high and that becomes your stop. And from there, it was just an absolutely perfect trade. It's crazy how like tight that was and where you could have got in that. You're up $30. So very little to say about that. I think it looks really, really good. And let's see, what do we got here? All right, JP Morgan, what did you do? All right, so thank you. I think it looks great. I don't think there's much to say about it. The volume's coming in. Looks like it's just going to rip everyone's head off. It looks like you're going a lot higher. So I don't really know that there's a tremendous amount for me to say or do there. CoreWeave is kind of interesting because I do think that they're going to buy this company. So I actually do think they're going to buy this company because they have this deal with them. And I don't know the size of cores. I should probably go and look at this up real quick because I keep making this statement, but I don't know what their market cap is. I'll tell you in a minute. $5 billion. So like, if there's a real business here and CoreWeave's paying them $1 billion a year, like in 5 years, they eat it up. So like, why wouldn't you just buy the darn company? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like you just would, right? You would just buy the company. That's kind of how I look at it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong there with the logic, but to me, it's like, well, why wouldn't you just buy the company? Because you'd be like, in 5 years, it paid for itself if we just bought it right here. If you had to pay up for it, question is, what else are you getting with the company? Is there any real business here? It looks like it bleeds from every orifice. So I'm not sure that, they want to buy it, but that's the rumor out there. So I think that could affect CoreWeave if that happens, but you just never know. Like Circle got an $80 target price from Goldman today and it's up $3. So, we'll see how it plays out. But for me, that's definitely, it's definitely on the radar. It's definitely up there. And I would just watch it. IONQ, a lot of those quantum names are starting to get a bid again. I think you're kind of wedged, man. I really do. I think if you came here, I was looking at this, because it's like a perfect wedge, right? See the gap? Okay. And so like from here over, you can't really go anywhere. You keep riding that low. And the only thing that would get me about that is the fact that, okay, well, if I keep riding that low, then at some point I'm going to be in a position that that's really going to hurt me, right? Like it's going to hurt me because I'm eating up demand there. Whoever sold there is selling into this. So if I can't get up off of that, I have to be super careful of that. Now, I saw a lot of buying in this one today, but that looks disgusting. And again, here's your level here. I had this trade on where I was long QBTS and then I just got stopped out of it. But I've been short this QBTX forever now, not ever, like a month. And I'm just killing it on it. And like, it's kind of hitting that level. I wanted the gap fill and it's there. I'm up like $30 on the short, but I don't know, man. I'd be super careful with this stuff. It seems like we've rotated out of this and quantum computing is no longer cool. And now all the cool kids are, now they're all launching rockets or we're doing stable coins. So I don't know. I don't know that I'd be rushing into it, man. HIMS is maybe it gets squeezed. HIMS maybe it gets squeezed. I don't know. It's definitely over and it definitely held this, right? Like, no matter how I look at it, you held the 55. Like you broke 1, 2, 3, 4 over. So does it go? Does it not go? It's not my kind of trade here. I was short, closing over that 55 and taking that out. I'm not going to be short anymore. There's no reason to be. Could you gap fill? You could. I mean, they just lost their core drug, or one of their growth engines. So I'm more concerned about what's the other shoe to drop there. Like what happened that made them want to get out in 30 days? Like what the heck did you do? Like you did something or you wouldn't be telling them that you wouldn't be getting out like that in 30 days. And that's really kind of like where my head is with it. Like, geez, what did you do? So, and I don't know that they've done anything, I don't know that, but that's where I'm going with it. That's where my head is. So we'll have to see how that plays out, but I wouldn't be rushing into that. PLTR, I think, was a gift. On Friday, there was that rebalancing. One of the guys in the community just nailed it. You seem to be struggling with that 138, which was the 350 sell level. So you are struggling there a little bit with that this morning. I think personally, you're going to get through it. We actually bought here. Calls stock, and then I married puts to the stock in case I was wrong, but clearly I'm not. I really haven't done anything with the trade, just to be blunt. Like, I'm up $6. I've done 5 and change. I've done nothing. I don't think there's anything to do. You got to see how you act off the open and kind of where it goes from there. I would think after being down like this, you might see it, sell down, but I don't know that, so I'm going to watch it and go from there. But I'm in no hurry there. When you've broken like this before, it'll clean it all off for a second. But when you've broken like this before, if you did it here. And then the next day you had an inside bar, which seems to me like what you're setting up for. And then after the inside bar, then you went back. And then within 5 days, you were taking out the highs. You could see something very similar to that here. This is kind of like a mini me here that happened. So I think that's really where you want to go with it. I don't think there's much more to say about it than that. This is the cool place. That's where all the cool people are. What do you got? APPS and PL. I mean, it's holding. I would need more volume to actually care. PL. Yeah, I've been watching this one. It's definitely on a list. I have a level marked off here from a 50% level of this bar. And you finally closed over it, and you tried and you failed. You were found wanting. You weren't able to actually lift over that. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's something I have to do right away. There was that big wedding, right? I like the RKLB. I don't want to be buying this stuff if you're bidding up in the morning. I'm going to be buying it when it's breaking down. You got to watch the volume this week because it's going to go away. Tesla, I don't really think there's much to do or much to say here. I just don't think there is. Like, every day is a box of chocolates. So that's Friday's close, Friday's previous close back here. And and you're just bonking around, like you are eating up the supply this morning where you're making these higher lows and everyone sees that. And then you're trying to lift. So, you're going to want to watch this and see how it goes. But I don't know that you want to, I don't know that you want to be doing anything there. To me, it's more like if it hits 318, it probably holds. If it gets up to 325 again, it's probably a short. You're opening up there and then you're falling apart. And you have to make a decision. Is that something you want to be involved with or not? And I don't really have a question or a solution to that just yet with it. So we'll see what happens. AVGO is hitting highs. I mean, I own it. I've done nothing with it. There's literally nothing for me to do. Like there's nothing. Like I wish there was something I could add. I mean, all I keep doing is just finding entries on swings. I think we're in here now for like 3 different swing alerts on this thing. Like, I just keep buying the darn thing. So I don't even know. I'll tell you in a moment. It's either 2 or 3 at this point. Like 1, 2, just 2. No, I think there's another one too, right? Yeah, there's 1 there. There's 2. Yeah, I have 3 of them at this point. I've been buying this thing on and off, but like we started buying the April 24th, June 25th. June 3rd, like it's over and over again, but there's very little to say about it. I mean, it's definitely going higher in my opinion. I think all those semis are going a lot higher. I think people are delusional about AI and the adoption rate, but that's my opinion. What do I know? But I don't see how this stuff doesn't go higher, man. Like I don't see it at all. So I think it's going to keep grinding and going higher. So I don't know what's going to happen to that big, beautiful bill. Maybe it passes. XAU. I don't know. XAU. Gold and silver. They don't really seem to be in a hurry here with inflation anymore, do they? When you really look at the inflation side of things, do they really look like they're in a hurry to like buy more gold, to buy more silver? Like, do they really seem like they're in a big hurry here? It doesn't really feel that way, does it? So, I'm not really feeling that. Like, I'm not really feeling that they have to, that they're going to rush into something here and they're going to do something. So it is what it is, What's up, buddy? Hi, Lisa. Happy Monday. So, good morning. PLTR and Accenture news. So, some people trading this one. I don't have anything to do with it. I haven't touched this thing. It looks great. I mean, there's not much to say. You have a ton of charts that look like this, guys. So you have to like pick your battles. Did they have a launch success? I don't know. I never really care about when they sell their stock. I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, they're selling their stock. I never really cared. It never really meant anything to me whether or not they sold their stock, like at all, like not even a little bit. Maybe I should care more, but I just don't. I just really don't care when they sell their stock. Like it's not something to me that I ever looked at and said, oh gosh, I better move because he's selling $1 billion. Like your entire net worth is in your stock. At some point, you're probably going to want some money. So I just, I guess maybe I look at it the wrong way, but that's kind of how I look at it. So I don't know. I don't know that it's anything more than that. So, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a better way to say it, but I don't really think about it. Like I really don't. So it is what it is, man. They have a ton of money. They want access to the money. So they're going to do what they do. That's really how I look at it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I don't really know what else to say about it. Like to me, it's like, oh, Bezos sold $2 billion. Okay. He's worth, $300 billion or something insane. Like he's got a wedding to pay for. He's going to buy her a new jet. Like he's got stuff, so like never really bothered me when these guys sold their stock. What bothers me is like, if I saw NVIDIA hit here, right? And I saw like 12 guys start piling out of it. To me, it's the number of people, John, versus, anything else. So that's really how I look at it. but we'll see and go from there. All right, guys, I got to jump. Have a good day. Trade to win. Make good choices. Understand that you have a lot of like really weird stuff going on. Oh, ASTS, just FYI, watch that July 1st, SAS, because that's when that secondary prices. Yeah, there's something there. You want to watch. You want to watch that today. You held 27. Everyone seems worried about, like, I love this stuff because everyone's like, oh my gosh, this guy, he's communist. He's going to destroy New York. Okay. So did someone make it, look, man, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but no matter who gets in, nothing really changes. So maybe stop, drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't know that people are going to flee New York, which is why XLRE dropped, to be honest with you, because VNO dropped and SLG dropped, and that's why it's thing. But I don't think a guy that wants to put a couple in puts in a couple like grocery stores is going to turn into, I think it's this really stupid idea, to be honest with you, obviously, because the inefficiency of government. But I don't think that's going to cause a mass exodus in the New York office space area, which you saw that created pressure in there. I think more is the area conducive to, when you look at REITs, is the area conducive to business? New York is. You look at something like San Francisco and LA, it's really not. And that's why these things are trading at discounts. So, there's a reason for it. There's a reason why it works, like high prices work in New York, and it's not working for an office space in California. So I think with REITs, you have to be very specific. I don't know that I want to go out there and buy a mall REIT right now. I don't know that that's the best idea in the world with where personal income is and personal spending. But, someone might look at that and go, oh, it's this is a blessing. Okay, it's a blessing. But I think when SLG pulled back on that and VNO pulled back, they were buys. I mean, you can see they all held that, that moving average. But so what do I think about REITs? I think that eventually it all settles down. There's certain ones that I love to buy. They just have to hit certain levels. And I only buy them when they're below book value or at book value. Other than that, it's pointless to me. So it is what it is. All right, guys. See ya. Trade to win.